Hello and welcome back to video 2 in my Portugal to Brazil Paradox Interactive Historical Playthrough Mega Series. We are playing as Brazil, and we're going to continue playing as Brazil, specifically as Emperor Pedro II de Bragança. Oh, he's got a little heir, little Princess Isabel. So we are going to continue playing as him. Last video, we saw the end of the previous video with the elimination of the slave trade. Slavery is still in effect, but slave trade is gone, so that was significant. We are, in this video, going to see the complete abolition of slavery under what was known as the Golden Law. We're going to get there. Let's go ahead and pick it up, but where we are first going to start is all of this. We need to come into the future or into the present or whatever it is and do some industrialization. Now, in my reading, I discovered something that totally broke my heart, and it's going to make it very difficult for me to play as a Victoria 3 player, and that is Brazil did not have a single domestic steel factory until like the 1930s. So we're not going to be able to build any domestic steel. That is going to present me with a huge historical challenge, because as things like railroads and other sorts of commodities and services begin to require steel, I'm going to hold myself to historical accuracy and require myself to only import it, which is going to lead to a loss, a financial loss for me. So that kind of sucks. But you know, it is what it is. This is how I play my series, and we got to make historically accurate decisions and try and figure out how to make them work. Let us move forward. Now, one of the things I am going to start doing, just to get it sort of out of the way, is we're going to build some universities. Pedro the Magnanimous, where's he at? Where's our homie? We got a journal entry for that. Magnanimous monarch, right? He was widely known and widely respected. Now, he was the final emperor. We're going to go through that in this video as well. But he was widely known for promoting liberal values, for promoting education, for promoting arts and sciences and all that sort of good stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to queue up, not here. We are going to build universities. Where are they at? Here we go. And we're going to get started on 3 of them. Oh, we already have them. Is that true? We do. Oh, well, I didn't realize that. All right, so we've got universities in Rio de Janeiro. We got them in São Paulo. Definitely Pernambuco. We're going to add one more in Minas Gerais, just for a little bit. Because what we're going to do in this video is we're going to focus a lot on these 3 territories. Rio, Minas, São Paulo. We're going to focus. I'm going to keep a lot of domestic growth in these 3 territories. So let me do a little bit of cleanup here, and let's get things looking a little bit better. I'm going to have to figure out how we're going to deal with this market access scenario. Now, like we brought up in the first video, Brazil was coffee, 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 coffee. Now, it's worth noting that I am holding in my hands a venti decaf mocha made with, well, almond milk, because I'm a weirdo. But all from Starbucks, not historically accurate. But what is historically accurate is I'm about to play Brazil drinking coffee and milk. I love it. We'll get to that later. Now, on the international scene, I'm going to do a few things, and I want to take you through some of these decisions. First of all, we are going to keep... Well, okay, so we have good relations with Great Britain. That's accurate. We are... Am I already doing this? What am I doing here? I'm improving relations with... No, with me. Okay, I have a trade agreement in place with America. So America was the largest consumer of Brazil's coffee, that's for sure. I want to keep my good relationships. I don't know what these are. Argentina. I think I'm going to dump this. We're going to end the rivalry with Argentina for a reason. And I'll go through that a little bit right now. And I'm going to instead add on an extra guarantee of independence for Uruguay. This is going to hopefully lead us to the Paraguayan War, which should be a big segment in this video. I'll detail that a little bit out more when we get closer to it. One of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate my interest in Gran Colombia and activate an interest in Italy. And the reason for that, we'll get into it a little bit more later when it's hopefully it happens, is I'm looking to create major Italian immigration, not to Minas Gerais, but to Sao Paulo, because that is historically accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and add a greener grass campaign here. We're going to also encourage agricultural throughput here, because Sao Paulo really started to pick up as the major location for coffee development exports. Let's see what coffee is looking like here. Okay. So, like I said in video one of the difficult pieces that we have is the super low demand, worldwide demand for coffee at this point, which is not historically accurate. America was consuming coffee like gangbusters at this point, and that was a huge boost to Brazil's economy. So, I want to keep on America's good side. I want to keep on Britain's good side. I'm hoping to invite foreign investment from Great Britain, which was historically accurate. They have, in previous playthroughs that I've done, gone and just proposed it themselves. So I'm going to just wait for that to happen. But I did want to go through a little bit of those foreign relations, because the Paraguayan War is hopefully going to play a big part in this video series, probably around the middle of this video series. And I'm going to get caught up with some industrial and, just basic business buildups. And then we are going to, as the final piece of this video, not only work on the abolition of slavery, but hopefully see the end of the empire by arriving at the failure of the magnanimous monarch journal entry, which either is going to be at this Progress 0 or Emperor Pedro II is dead. So we're not nearly at Progress 0, but once we abolish slavery, that will, once we do this golden law, right, you can see here where it says magnanimous monarch journal entry depleted by 1. That may push us over the edge. So that is kind of the outline of this video, and let's get started. Okay, we're going to stretch history a teensy bit, not too bad. Thanks to my buddy Grok. Oh my gosh, I love this Grok AI. You know what? You can talk to Grok all day long about Victoria 3 and historical backgrounds, and he will give you a run for your money, that's pretty sure. Let's see what this is called. The Estrada de Ferro Dom Pedro II was a railway created in Rio de Janeiro. Now, what I really want to do is establish the São Paulo Railway Company Limited, which I believe was established in 1867, not in 1855. But that requires a railway to be in São Paulo, which, from a gaming perspective, it has a port, so we don't really need it. But it was to bring materials in from the inner part of the country. So to sort of do a compromise here, even though I'm rapidly going into debt, which is historically accurate, I'm going to build a railway once I figure out how to actually do them. Okay, I'm going to build a railway. Where are they? Let's just do it in the state itself. All right. So I'm going to build 2 railways, one in Rio de Janeiro. For historical accuracy, this is where the Estrada, how did I pronounce that again? Estrada de Ferro Dom Pedro II was originally built. And we're also going to build another one in São Paulo. And then I'm going to, quote-unquote, work to connect them, which basically just means make them come online. And I'll probably need to subsidize them, which I'm sure is historically accurate, to have them actually work, because you get into this ping-pong back and forth with, you don't have motors, you do have motors, there's builders, there's not builders, etc., etc. I can complain about it all day long. Anyway, so we're going to do that to sort of simulate the historical creation of some of the first railways in Brazil, and then hopefully cap it off by establishing the São Paulo Railway Company Limited. Okay, so let's get this underway. Well, I think we're going to need to scrap that plan. It's like, hey, you need railway. I thought it meant 5 railway buildings across the country. But no, you need a level 5 railway in Sao Paulo. There's so little demand for this right now that it's barely even going to make it to level 1. So I could build all 5 levels if I wanted to just tank myself in debt. Again, somewhat historically accurate. And then do nothing with it. Because there's no way I'm going to need that kind of crazy infrastructure. That I don't think I've built 5 railway levels in a single state like every time I've played the game. So we're going to move beyond this. I'm going to get kind of tooled up here to try and see if we can get into the Paraguayan War. Now I'm going to do something a little bit odd, and I'm going to switch over to Paraguay just to check for a minute. I've done this before. They have a few journal entries like this one that they're progressing on, which will push them, and I think it's this Heart of America, that once they complete this Heart of America, they'll get kind of rough and tumbly, and they will hopefully get to the place where they make a claim on Uruguay and start a war, which was called the War of the Triple Alliance, which was the alliance between Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina, which is why I dropped my rivalry against Argentina. So every once in a while, probably every 5 years, I'm going to come back here and just check up on these journal entries and see how they're doing, because I really don't want to declare war on Paraguay to simulate this, because then, you know, all the exciting things will happen, like France will jump in and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep track on these journal entries. There do seem to be some Colossus of the South's mechanics that intertwine with each other, where it should bring this about. Where if I just let the time go, and I don't think this war happened until like the 1870s, late 1860s, early 1870s. So that's fine. So let's see if we can fast forward to that. If anything else significant happens in the meantime, we'll go ahead and switch back to Brazil. I'll bring you back in to sort of do show and tell, but in the meantime, let's just acknowledge that I'll be struggling with trying to keep the economy, try to not lose my prestige, and try and keep the economy on track. So this was a little bit fun. I told you I'd bring you back in for anything curious that happened. So iron went up in price, really hardcore. And so I'm looking at my trade routes, and I, don't really have much iron going on. I mean, I suppose I could just increase. Anyway, so it's like you have some iron being used by steel. I'm like, well, okay, remember I've been whining about steel, like, since the beginning of this. So it's like, okay, fine, show me where that... Oh, look. Great Britain has invested in the Brazilian steel market. Whether that's historically accurate or not, I'm not really sure. However, I did think it was kind of cool to be able to enable Great Britain to have foreign investment, and they're like, y'all need some steel in here. Yeah, we do. Thank you for that, by the way. Can I don't think I can change their stuff. Well, anyway. So that was kind of fun. Let's, I wish it all the best here. I don't know, I just can't see these buildings. I've got to look at it like this. Like, alright, so steel apparently isn't in demand. Huh, okay. I mean, we could change that. We could be like, hey... Oh, we don't have steel frame buildings yet. But I'm sure I could go into tools and change it. Anyway, I'm just kind of flopping around, so I thought it was kind of fun that Great Britain made a steel investment in Brazil. Now, I think historically what happened is they purchased steel, or sold. Great Britain in America sold steel to Brazil. So whether or not they truly like ended up creating steel factories in here, I'm not really sure. They did create a lot of railroads and banks in Brazil, but you know, I'll take it. This river of coffee is just taking so long. Nobody is buying coffee. Not historically accurate. Here we are in 1869. Hope you can hear me. I think this is just kind of a generic event, but it's probably pretty historically relevant, where local governments, highly wealthy state, invest in the plantation economy. We've been doing a ton of investment. Sao Paulo is the beating heart of Brazil. Now, Sao Paulo was not the capital of Brazil, but it was the coffee capital of Brazil. So what I like here is not only the extra infrastructure and standard of living, but the big one is the plus 25% migration attraction. Now, there was significant overseas attraction where Italians, Germans, Chinese, Japanese, all sorts of people would come to Brazil to work on the plantations in the hopes to make it rich, kind of. So we're going to go ahead and say yes to that one. I'm still desperate to pass this river of coffee, kind of nowhere near it, unfortunately, because I just cannot get the demand for coffee to go up all that much. The price is at rock bottom. I mean, it's like negative 46% pennies on the dollar. But anyway, that was just kind of fun, I think, in the spirit of what was going on at this point. We are getting closer to the 1870s. And let's go ahead and look back in again on our good friend Paraguay and see what's going on there. Now, they did pass their age of caudillos. Heart of America is looking pretty good, but they're not doing any of these things here to get us further. Any Paraguayan state. Iron mines greater than 3. Logging camps greater than 2. Arms industries? Okay. So, if we make it much past 1875, I'm going to have to do something to sort of simulate this. It was a huge part of what was going on at this time for many, many reasons. So let's hope for the best. We'll go ahead and switch back to Brazil and see what we can do. I don't want to force them to do anything because then I'm not really even playing the right country. I'm just hoping it will happen and historically catch up with us. Okay, unfortunately, a pretty critical piece of the Paraguayan War has just not happened. So let's go ahead. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and just save it in case something stupid happens. I'm a cheater. Anybody who's watched my videos before, you know that. And try and give you a quick explanation. First of all, we're way past time. The Paraguayan War took place in like the 1860s. What was going on at this point is Uruguay was in the middle of a civil war with two different factions, one called the Colorados, and the other was called the Blancos. And so what happened is that was going on. Paraguay was a heavily military dictatorship. There you go. So what I tried to do is switch over to them and get them started down the path. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to intervene, but I actually did. I'm a liar. And so I started on, like, I was the one that passed that professional army law. I've started building up a lot of their military. I don't know why their taxes are totally tanked. But unfortunately, all of these things would need to happen, and they're just not doing it. They're just straight mismanaging their entire country. So at this time, the guy who was in charge, let's see if it's actually the person that we're talking about here. No. The person who was in charge at this point was Francisco Solano Lopez. And he was looking to fashion Paraguay into a sort of regional superpower and make itself a heavily industrialized nation. That is clearly not happening. Let's go ahead and switch back to Brazil. So when Brazil intervened in Uruguay's civil war with the Colorados and the Blancos, they wanted to help install a Brazilian-friendly government here. And Paraguay saw that as an act of aggression in this La Plata basin that they were hoping to take control over and all the way out to the sea and again, to establish themselves as a superpower in this region. Ignore the fact that Brazil was laying claim to this entire area and Uruguay was laying. So what happened is Uruguay formed an alliance. Paraguay attacked this area, and Brazil formed an alliance with Uruguay, which we're going to do, and also Argentina, which we cannot do because they hate us. But that's fine. You know what? Maybe we can do is guarantee their independence. All right, so let's push the button on that. Now, I'm doing this, all this timing. There's a technology that's going to come through in 3 months and kick off something else that I really want to talk about. So this was known as the Triple Alliance, and this war against Paraguay was known as the War of the Triple Alliance. And did that... Okay, now my guarantee independence... Now, I don't think they're still rivaling me at this point. Let's see if they are. They're antagonistic. We're a threatening force. Bro, I just guaranteed your independence. Are they? They're not rivaling me anymore. Okay, that's fine. So that's good. I'm trying to improve relations with them. They're trying to improve relations naturally with Prussia. Okay, whatever. If they talk about a country that never does anything in this game, it's Prussia. Let's look. Let's take a look. See if they're doing anything. Well, fair enough. All right, usually a little bit more than they're doing a little bit more than they usually do. They're never going to form Germany, but whatever. All right, that's what. We're not playing that game. So, when Paraguay attacked, the alliance of these three then also came to their defense. So, what should I do? I really don't want to attack Paraguay because that would not be diplomatically, historically accurate. I could try to humiliate them, maybe. Here we go. I can make them revoke their interest in La Plata. Let's go ahead and see what happens when I do that. Oh, no, that's me revoking my interest in La Plata. Okay, we don't want to do that. That was stupid. Did I? Okay. So instead... Is there any diplomatic demands? I can conquer the state, regime change, humiliation, make protectorate. I don't really know. What if I did make protectorate out of Uruguay? Because that was what we were kind of stepping in to do, was make sure that they didn't get attacked. I probably can't do that because I'm in an alliance with them. All right, fair enough. I don't want to do that anyway. I guess let's just go ahead and... Oh, I don't know. Let's do regime change. I mean, this is crazy stupid and unbalanced. Okay, is anybody gonna jump in on that? Let's just do the diplomatic and see how they respond. Going once. Going twice. Okay, I didn't see it. Paraguay accepts demands. They're like, all right, whatever, we'll go. So this has been kind of the biggest bust you can possibly imagine. I'm going to fast forward to this 11 weeks left and tell you why I wanted to do this at this time. Okay, I'll bring you back in and let you watch this tick down with me. And that is because I'm passing philosophical pragmatism, which is going to bring in this potential journal entry of the positive stage, which is going to come in and talk about positivism. So that should happen right now. There we go. Tancredo Cabral da Silva, student of the philosophy of positivism, has founded the Positivist Church of Brazil. Church's events have become a meeting. So what is positivism? Positivism is the philosophical belief / demand that we should be focused more on the things that we can see, touch, taste, hear, feel, etc., as opposed to those things that we cannot see, touch, like faith, tradition, that sort of thing. It's sort of like a humanist, like realist, focus on reality kind of a concept. All right, so the reason why I wanted to do this is this was deeply connected with the Paraguayan War, believe it or not, because as you see here, armed forces get positivist influence, growing their political strength, and this positivist movement came about, and so a lot of the people, especially the military in Brazil at this point, were like, you know what, let's go ahead and just focus on advancing the country, advancing our health and safety and reality, basically, and stop focusing on these ethereal things. So we're going to go ahead and trigger that. So what am I going to do? I am going to sponsor positive philosophy. All right, why not do that? And what is this, sort of tick? Yeah. All right, so some of the other pieces, some of the other cultural changes going on at this point was this nonstop pressure to do away with slavery. And during this time, this is kind of related because, again, it's all about the let's move Brazil out of the Stone Age kind of a concept and focus on what's real and right in front of us. And what's right in front of us is this, as they considered it, and I do too, this immoral institution of slavery. So Brazil had already banned slave trade, as we've seen. But in addition to that, they passed something else called the Free Womb Law. Not free room, free womb, as in the womb where a baby grows. And basically the Free Womb Law, and there's nothing that I can do to do this now, basically said that the children of slaves would be free from the moment they entered the womb. And of course, when they came out, they would be free upon birth. And so this is something, this changing views on slavery, these advancing, I'll say, views on slavery, were what was going on in the middle of this sort of enlightenment that Brazil was going through, along with positivism and really flexing their muscles on not only domestically and within the entire continent here, but on the world stage as well. So we're going to focus on only two more things for the rest of this video. I was really hoping to do a lot with the Paraguayan War, and it's just not going to happen. So sorry about that. Sorry to me. I was looking forward to it. We're going to focus on abolishing slavery, which I think we could do pretty much at any point. That happened in 1888, so I'm going to push that as long as I can and experiment with some of this positivism stage here, and I'll get back to you on that. Now, this event just came up, theory and practice. Several prominent positivist reform advocates have become entangled. The positivist movement did become split. There was, this event does not talk about it, but there were factions that just wanted to focus on positivism, and then there were other factions within the positivist movement that really did focus on it as being like a belief system, whereas the positivist, pure positivist people were all about, again, that what you can see, what you can touch, not the ethereal aspect of it, it being a church and all that sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and move on with this because what I want to do is see the positivist movement go forward, not backwards. I can't really say, I didn't really get that much of an impression that it had this massive influence, this 100% the positive epoch is going to happen. I'm not so sure that that's really historically what happened, so much as the influence of positivism on Brazilian thought in moving the nation forward. Now, one of the things that you can see that I'm doing deliberately is on the production side of things, I'm holding things back as much as I possibly can. I'm not investing in any of these things because, like I said earlier, while Brazil's industrialization did happen, they didn't pursue all this crazy industrial fractional distillation and all that. Brazil remained an agricultural country for a long time. So I'm focusing a lot on military. They did not make ironclads, but they did buy them. So I want to be able to have them and then just trade them from Britain or something like that. And we're moving forward a lot as much as possible with the society based research as much as I can. So I'm holding the production innovation back on purpose. I need to get this video wrapped up, and yet I don't really know the order of events that things are going to happen in. So I'm just going to make this last section called The End of an Era, because the whole goal of this video is to fail the Magnanimous Monarch journal entry and historically emulate the overthrow of the emperor and swapping in of what's called the First Republic, which is where we're going to start video 3 at, but that will be the termination of this video. So 2 major things still need to happen, and they're all going to happen in quick succession. We're going to ban slavery. I could probably do it right now because we can do this issue the golden law if all of these things are happening. And you can see check, 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 check. And all we have to do is enacting slavery banned, and the enactment phase is greater than or equal to 1. So I think once we basically get started on it, you can issue the golden law, which will instantly ban it. And so I want to do that as close to when that actually happened in 1888 as possible, but I might have to push it. And that should hopefully lead us to also failing the Magnanimous Monarch journal entry. A few other things are going to happen. I've done 1 test playthrough, and you kind of never really know when these events happen. The positive stage is going to happen, and all sorts of things can happen to the Emperor as well, given his age and failing health. So once he turns 60, how old is he now? There we go. So in 11 years, that gets us pretty close. So I'll pop you back in if any other things come in, but we're just going to go boom, 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 and get them done with and end this era and this video. This is kind of one of them, and I'm going to let it keep going for a little bit. The influence of the philosophy of positivism on Brazilian society. So Brazil evolves with the times, right? They lose stratocratic and become oligarchic. Okay, that's fine. And this is really, again, what positivism was supposed to be about, was really kind of moving forward. Positivism should close out pretty soon, so there's something kind of fun about that I want to go through when that happens. But that, in the spirit of that, let's see how close we can get to that. Okay, more positivism. The positivism had a major influence on the military. They saw the Paraguayan War was very heavy in its death toll and toll of lives, toll of money, all that stuff. But they came out of it feeling like, hey, we are a force to be reckoned with. We, dug in and made it work. And so the positivism kind of charged the military up for their future, to get them excited about their future. And so that all played, those two things that happened. The landowners you saw were influenced by positivism. The military was influenced by positivism. And we will actually see, God willing, that when the Magnanimous Monarch journal entry fails, it's those two factions that overthrew the monarchy. And we'll talk about that when that happens. And in the spirit of that, the positivism journal entry completes. I can choose between plus technology and all that sort of thing versus the military. And I'm going to choose that because of what I just said, because of how much influence positivism had on the military and the whole nation. And in fact, something interesting that I discovered is that the Brazilian flag, and I'm going to go ahead and put that up there for you to see, has the phrase on it, Ordem e Progresso, order and progress, which actually comes from positivist belief that society should be organized scientifically to achieve advancement. It comes from one of the founders of positivism, Comte's. His slogan, I'm not even, well, maybe I'll try and pronounce it. L'amour pour principe. I'm not going to try, it's in French. Love as the principle, order as the foundation, progress as the goal. But the Brazilian version, as you can see here on the flag, strips that down to order and progress. So that comes from positivism, which played a big role in Brazilian society. Okay, the Conservative Party did not do terribly well in the election, which sucks. Because I really need to push this through. There's a few things I'm going to put... Oh man, this is not going to go well because I don't think I can pass laws. I'm going to put them in. Specifically, I'm going after this petite bourgeoisie for a reason here. With them in power and having a Republican ideology, we get a journal entry, which should come up right now. And it looks just like this, Republican proposal. So, something that kind of threw me off about this whole historical scenario, is everybody's happy. And this is actually kind of historically significant. What was going on was the landowners were doing well, but they wanted to have less centralized control. The military was doing well, but they wanted to play a more active role in modernizing the future of the country. And so, also what was going on with positivism moving through Brazil was people were starting to say, you know what, the monarchy is kind of old, and we think it's time for it to go. So I'm going to say the monarchy will endure, because what this will do is get the journal entry moved down, and that is what I want. Because if the journal entry gets low enough, then, and we fail it, then this proclamation of the Republic will happen, and that is what I want. Venezuela? I don't think so. We're going to go ahead and just decline that. So the next thing I'm going to do, I hope, right away, is start trying to ban slavery. It says it'll radicalize landowners. Okay. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Because once it gets to phase 1, we should be able to issue the Golden Law, which is a hardcore, immediate ban on slavery. Everybody's pissed off about it. Okay, fine. Alright, so let's fast forward to that, hopefully. We've got stalls in there, so this could suck. Yeah, why not? I'll accept that. Uruguay is my buddy. What a massive stroke of luck. Very first spinner on the wheel, and we already advanced to the first level. So we can issue the Golden Law, which immediately bans slavery. Again, this was passed in 1888. A little bit of trivia. This was not passed by Emperor Pedro, but rather was passed by his daughter, Princess Isabel, because he was away. He was very sick, is a very sickly person. There are some journal entries that are coming up for that. We even see here he has kidney stones and he's a cocaine addict. I don't think that was exactly true. But she's the one who ended up signing it into law. And at this point, Brazil is a completely free nation. Slavery has been abolished. And so we can integrate the nordestinos in here. So that's good news. Now that's going to change us, like, significantly. Let's go ahead and let the clock run because there we go. Golden Law, Golden Rose. While it seemed untouchable, the institution can now at last be considered laid to rest. Onwards. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen here. Prestige, that's good. One nation, one people. Radicalism increases far. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's go ahead and say Golden Law, Gilded Age. And that should also decrease our magnanimous monarch entry. This should be closed. Right? Yes. Okay, it's just because I have it up still. So let's see where we're at on that. Alright, we're pretty low. We're below 50%. So at this point, the only way we can fail magnanimous monarch is if Pedro dies, which would be great. I wish he could do that, like, right away. Oh, okay. Or it gets to straight 0. So this is another thing here. Oh, well, no, I thought it would... Maybe this does. Let's keep an eye on the... I think this does decrease it. A worrying turn of events. It does not. Okay, so that's a bummer. So we just need to fast forward to the final piece, which is the failure of the magnanimous monarch journal entry and the beginning of the First Republic. Gonna fast forward and hope it happens quickly. Okay, it is looking like we get to wrap up this video now through a course of actions. Magnanimous monarch has reached only, let's open it up, only 10%. The emperor's ill health. Pedro de Bragança is no longer the young, healthy man he once was. And so when we choose this option, we'll see the journal entry go down to 0, which it did, excuse me. And from here, what truly historically took place should happen. And there it is. A proclamation of the Republic. Now, here's something that's interesting about it. In a bloodless coup. So it was a coup, but they basically just a small amount of military officers walked in and were like, yeah, we think you should just step down. And he was kind of like, okay. You and your family are no longer in power. There's to be a republic. And so he then acceded, and stepped out. So we'll go ahead and say, I love the republic. We now have a presidential republic from monarchy. Landed voting. Okay, looking good. We have an illegitimate government. Let's see what we can do to change that. Now, these folks should be in power because they're the ones who pulled off the coup. The landowners and the military. But because we need to start passing some laws and everything, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's save that for video 3. We're going to end right here. I want to thank you for watching. This is a long video. Thank you for hanging out there. We are going to move Brazil, continue forward. It was the end of an era, like this video is titled, the end of the empire, the end of the monarchy. And the Brazil is now a presidential republic. That is not the right flag. Oh, it's an oligarchic republic. We will talk about that in video 3. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.